Good morning from the West Coast. My name is Michael Glenn, and in this episode of the Dojo Show, we're studying the kata Koku. Koku means empty space or empty sky, and I recently flew through all of this empty sky behind me to study this kata with Hatsumi Sensei in Japan. So I want to start with this kata Koku, which is a really basic kata from Gyokko-ryu. Most people in the Bujinkan know this one backwards and forwards. It's been taught to death by every teacher, and every student has learned it. So if you don't know it, this is your chance to start to understand a little bit about it. So we'll start with the basic form, but I'm not going to dwell on the basic form tonight. So we're going to use that form as a platform for exploring themes from this year. So I'm here and I go there. Okay, now he kicks. Okay, here I kick his leg and then I drive down with this Bujinkan. So I'm starting off in this gassho. It's like praying, like please don't hurt me kind of thing, right? It has that appearance to it. But gassho is something really specific. It's the idea of taking chi, tsue, ka, fu, ku, these elements that are associated with each of these fingers, and then bringing them together. So you're unifying them, you're bringing the whole universe together in yourself, okay? Or in this point, or in this moment. And gassho has many forms. This is the one you usually see, but it could be like this, could be like that, could be like that. There's many forms to gassho. Okay, so Sensei often uses it as a weapon. He'll strike with it too, or hide weapons inside of it. So it may look like a prayer, but it's also used for combat. Okay, so when I start in gassho here and he punches, the first move is this separation. Okay, there's this separation in gassho where you're pulling apart the elements, and then it becomes a duality, like the yin and yang symbol or yin and yo. Okay, so here it's unified and everything's one, and then when you pull it apart, it's positive and negative. Okay, so it's important to understand that. So here, and then I do this shuto. Okay, so that's the first part of it. And it's important to get that piece, okay? Gyokko-ryu emphasizes all the kata from that level as starting from that kamae, all right? So then the next part, I come here, I do the shuto, I'm right in front of him here, okay? Because of the shuto, let me talk about the block. So the block, I'm not right in front of him, I'm at an angle. This shuto brings me right in front of that leg, which makes it more tempting for him to kick with this leg than the other. Okay, that part is important. One more time, Jesse. So he kicks. This is with my left leg, and then Bujinkan here. If I really send that over there, he's probably not going to want to kick with that foot. Okay, one more time. If I knock it down like this, maybe that'll change it. Yeah. So there's a lot of different angles with your shuto that can change. One that I learned a long time ago with this was actually up like that. So now that leg is light and he can pick it up and kick with it. Like with any strike that we do in the Bujinkan, there's different timings. There's 3 basic ones. There's early, middle, and late. So you could do any of them. In the basic, it's usually the middle one. So in the basic, I come here, I block this. So that's the basic one, is usually in the middle like that. So it could be early like that, right? It could be late. So he kicks late. Okay. So late would be like he's recovering his balance already and you hit him just at that moment. But the kata, the basic form, is usually middle timing. So his leg is still in the air and you're attacking it, lifting it up. Okay? You guys play with this upward shuto. So if you're attacking, so this upward shuto, see how that makes that want to kick? So upward. I've learned it so many ways over the years, and
yeah, a lot of different. That's why I asked about the timing, because there's some people I've trained with who are very insistent on a certain time.
People get very insistent on lots of things, and when they are, they're usually wrong.
Yeah, but that's why I asked.
My experience in the Bujinkan is anybody who's really insistent
who's certain about something
is usually wrong.
Anybody who's confused is probably on the right track.
Yeah. I would say so, because even the Japanese teachers all do it differently.
Yeah.
You know, and they may have been training for more than 40 years, and they still do it differently from the other guy. So, so are you going to say that one's right and that one's wrong? And then you watch Soke do it, and he does it differently.
Right.
So what's the right way? There's no right way, you know.
Right. Now that we're talking about this, I think I remember it being kind of like a slot. So block here.
Yeah, it's just. You know, you block here, and then you sort of your body is low, so you're sort of driving it up. But in the past, I've learned it in a million different ways. I've learned it coming across. Yeah. I've learned it coming down.
I've definitely done the across and down.
Yeah. Yeah. Just play with the up one to see if that makes a different feeling for you. Hey Sean, for you, for that up one, you're going to have to get lower. So block and be really low here and then come up, because it wants to come from your legs. Since you're tall, you have to get lower.
It wasn't close. Close enough to like...
Legs, yeah.
Not only leg, you know.
Well, the shuto can really change. I was talking with Sean a minute ago, and like I've seen it with a whole bunch of different teachers over the years, and depending on what they're emphasizing in that class, the angle will change of the shuto. So sometimes the shuto comes hammering down, sometimes it comes across, you know, sometimes it even comes to the outside. You know, just depending on what the teacher's trying to emphasize, it can go a lot of different angles. What's important to remember about this kata, especially with the name being the void, the form of the kata starts to disappear when you enter into that void feeling. So I think a lot of teachers express it with that in mind, you know. And the funny thing is, this is the first kata of Gyoko-ryu from the beginning level. So usually this kind of advanced form is saved for later kata in a school, but in Gyoko-ryu it's the very first one. So all right, so we're gonna move on from here into some henka to start to explore some themes that are related to what's going on this year in Japan. If you guys have any more questions about Koku throughout the night, feel free to ask them. But the things we're gonna start to do will sort of depart from the kata, okay? So I'll start here just to keep us on the same page. He attacks, kick. So I'm not doing much there. I'm letting his kick knock him down for me. So you can do the shuto or not, you don't have to. It's a very awkward feeling for them. And they're kind of stuck looking at this hand.
Yeah, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
The bottom just falls out.
Right. I'm being nice to Shun, but this can be a lot worse, as you guys will see in a minute. But try the nice version first. Go ahead.
You guys always wait. So I've been able to catch up, but sometimes he's so much forward.
Yeah, but you're trying to pull him straight back, and I'm not. So here, James kicks. See how I'm facing that way? Yeah, so you were trying to pull him that way, and I'm throwing him that way. Sideways, yeah. Towards this way. And you want to ideally start to pull him before his kick lands. A couple people were struggling with the angle here, so if I could borrow Richard. Kick. So you see how I'm finishing this direction? Richard and I are on this line here, okay? But I'm going to finish that direction. So you see I'm facing at a 90-degree angle from where we started. So Richard's in front of me, he kicks, I evade here, I slip his kick, rotate. You may or may not have this yet, but there's some more we can add into it to make it more combat oriented, right? Who wants to feel that one? Okay. So here he kicks. Oh. He actually used the strike, right? More time. He kicks. So I'm still controlling here on James's shoulder, yeah. Let's do one more, maybe that way. I didn't really do the strike that time, but you saw how it can take his head off. If the guy's too tall, if that's not something you can reach very easily, you can come in there and take a rib, yeah. That's a rib breaker because he's falling into it. And there's so many targets when you do this kind of combat version of this, right? Michael, can I borrow you? So he's punching. Here he comes with his kick. So you see all these targets that can happen in this space. You can attack the leg before you attack up top. One more time. So this is just threatening here. You guys see that? Inside of the thigh, up to the face. Yep, he saw it. We'll do one more. I don't know if you guys saw that. I struck with my elbows to his leg. You okay there?
Yes, sir.
So that time I shift into his elbow and then just run him over. This can be a strike to the throat. Okay, I'm holding back because it's very dangerous, but it's a strike to the throat, right? But the key is the elbow. See that elbow there? That's what helps me to control him. One more. So this year, well, it's actually last year, the theme all year long was Shingin Budo, and part of that theme was something called shizenryoku, which is the power of nature, or natural force, using natural forces against your opponent instead of you using your own muscle or strategy against the opponent. You're letting nature work for you, okay? And sometimes nature is gravity, sometimes it's the opponent's mind, sometimes it's psychology, You know, there's a lot of aspects to it. We're gonna use this weapon now, but one of the keys for shizenryoku or Shingin Budo is just because you have a weapon, you don't want to focus on it. You don't want to try to use the weapon. If you try to focus on it or use the weapon, you're using your own force or your own power. And there's no opportunity for other forces to come into the mix because you filled up the space with your own ego or power or strategy. So you have to learn how to use a weapon by taking those things out of the equation. That's very easy to say. It's a whole other thing to do it. So we're going to try to practice some of that using the hanbo here. So let's see, Richard. So we're starting off with the same kata. Richard's going to punch. He comes with his kick. I'm just placing this here on the shoulder. Okay? But I haven't done anything with it yet. It's just being placed there. And just the very act of putting it in the space is enough to kind of knock my opponent over. See how I'm not even holding it right now. He's helping me hold it. Okay? So that's a perfect example of the kind of stuff Soke's been doing this last year. I didn't plan to have that land on his throat and then choke him. It just occurred naturally by itself, you know, and then I step on it, and because of my weight and gravity, he's in big trouble. Yeah, but it wasn't planned. It just happened naturally. One more time. So I'm just putting this on his shoulder here. Okay. If I want to use the weapon, I can. Right? But I also don't have to use it. I can just let it fall wherever it falls and then see what happens from there. Okay. This is, it looks simple, but it's not. It's harder to do than it appears. So see if you can get it. You all right there, James? That was pretty intense. It just landed like right in the perfect spot.
It's like I should have expected it, but I didn't for some reason.
Well,
like on my throat, it's like
yeah, but see, that's one of the qualities of Shingin that's fascinating is the opponent can't defend because they don't ever see it coming. You know, it comes out of someplace else that's not something that they can predict.
Yeah, exactly.
That's I think one of the most fascinating qualities of it, and I think one of the reasons why Soke was trying to get us to understand it all year, because you can't predict it and you can't defend against it. The minute you try to defend against something, well, that wasn't what was actually the problem, you know. I don't want to use this too much. I just want it to be in the space and work for me, okay? So as Sean comes with his attack there, I can just place this on his hip that time. So, Sean, what made you fall?
I don't even know.
Yeah, see, that's the interesting thing. Like, I wasn't pushing him, but he fell anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like the floor just sort of disappeared, and then like all of my structure was like gone, and it didn't happen quickly, right?
Right.
I was just like,
Yeah, it's very interesting, the quality that this feeling creates, this movement. Once more. So I block, I'll just let this be on his hip. Okay, I'm not even holding it. You can see there, I'm not even holding the stick. And yet, he's done. Okay, so obviously when he's floated like that in the space, as Soke said all year last year, you float your opponent in the space. When he's floating like that, he's very vulnerable to strikes. I can hit him in any which way, you know, and it's a big problem. One more time. So, see, it's right there on the hip. It's so light, though. I'm literally holding him up right now.
yeah, I would fall.
Okay. So just by pulling away the support, he's falling. And I didn't do it, but obviously you could assist him with his descent. It's right on the hip, okay? If I want to, I can use my own muscle, right? But we're trying to get away from that. So let's do another one. Oh! You guys notice there, I just used a finger basically to push him over. And he's holding the stick. He got hit like in 3 different places, and I didn't try to do it. How'd that feel?
It's like I'm hitting the stick for some reason.
Right.
Everywhere I fall, my arms are wailing and just hitting the stick. You're not doing anything.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not doing very much. I'm forcing you to fight with the stick, right? So try it with that feeling if you guys can get it. Okay, it's not easy. Yep. So I'm just placing this in the space. I haven't drawn it yet, but I can, right? So if I want to draw it, I can draw here, and then as he falls, he gets cut. Just placing this on the shoulder. Okay, his body's already.
I'm done. I'm holding myself here.
Yeah, he's holding himself up. So then I can use the suka to strike, or the suba, and then slice as he falls. So you see the sword is on James, and then I can strike with the saya. So if you decide to draw, then you have 2 weapons. Okay. It's a bad situation. I'm not really swinging this because it's steel and it's dangerous, but Richard. You see, he wanted to grab, but he doesn't really want to grab, right? But you don't have to draw either. You can keep using it like the hanbo, right? So then I use it like the hanbo and go fight somebody else. Because you might have another enemy, right? One more time, Richard. Using it like a hanbo. I struck his leg, then his face. Okay. There's a lot of times in the saya there's metsubushi in there, so you could throw some metsubushi too. If you focus on trying to make a technique or use it, then it'll all be coming from up here, and he can counter or defend. But if you don't, if you let it play out naturally, like this idea of shizenryoku, then he can't defend that. It's beyond the scope of his human ability to defend it. That's the kind of thing that Sensei's been talking about all last year. All right, so try it out. See how he tried to grab it? He tried to grab it, but it's like a deception, okay? So once more. So I just put this in the space. He wants to grab it naturally to protect himself. His grabbing is a trap, okay? If he doesn't grab, you just hit him with it. So he's stuck either way, right, James? Either way, he's just losing. No, you punch. See, he's tempted to grab it here to protect his own face, okay? So you let him have that, and then you slice him. Okay. If he, for some reason, doesn't grab, like don't grab this time. So if he doesn't grab, it's bad anyway, right? So I hit it. If he doesn't grab, I hit him with it and draw and stab. So either way, he loses. That's the difficult part about it. One more, G. So he's tempted to grab. I let him have it. And you see, he's holding a saya and about to get stabbed. To really emphasize this kind of free feeling that you need with weapons, this weapon will really accentuate that feeling. So as James is coming here, he punches, I hand him this, right? He grabs a hold, and I let him hold it. You see what's happened to him here now, okay? It's probably hard to see, but the rope was wrapped around James there. So this is like a shinobi's way, and it can have a chain in it. He punches. I place this on the shoulder here, and this time I let him have the cane. Okay. It's hard to see this, but the rope's got both of his hands, and it's across his face. Okay. So he got tied up pretty well there with the rope. The shinobi's way is like a ninja weapon, and sometimes they have darts inside of them, or chains, or ropes, or hooks, or swords. There's all a variety of them, depending on what you want to accomplish with your hidden weapon. I think these would probably be illegal in California. So he's punching. So here I can just float this out across, and that cane is sitting there right in front of him in a very tempting fashion. Okay, I don't know if he's going to go for it or not, but you see the rope is just here. Okay. So I didn't try to make that happen. It just happens. Okay. And it gets worse. The more I go, the worse it gets for him. Okay. So now he's pretty much tied up. Yeah, he can't do a lot from here. So Jesse punches. I can just put this out there and use it like a staff, right? And while he's fighting with that staff there, I can come free. You all right? Yeah. It's pretty funny. I leave him fighting with the staff, and then that's what knocks him over, right? There's a lot of ways to think about it. Some of them are physical, some of them are more metaphysical. When you start off in this gassho kamae and you separate this unified situation here, that space that's created as you open up, that's the void. Yeah. So if you were to separate yin and yang, rip them apart from each other somehow, which is impossible, but if you could, there would be a void, right? And once that kind of void or that vacuum is created, stuff can get sucked into it, including your opponent. When I was a young man and I first started training back in the 80s and we did this, I was clueless. I remember, to me it felt like it was a lot of steps. And I remember thinking, yeah, nobody would ever go through all of this, That's what I remember thinking as a young man about it, and I could do the steps, but I wasn't doing them with the right feeling, And it wasn't until many years later that I understood that it's not about the steps; it's about the feeling. And then when I understood that, then it took me a while to start to figure out how to do it with the right feeling. That's like a lifelong study, really. No, it's not that you're confused. It's that you become nothing.
So it's more pure than.
Yeah, you empty yourself of all ego, strategy, preconceptions, muscle, technique. Just eliminate all of those things. Become zero yourself.
You don't know what you don't really.
This year, Sensei, he started the year off with the word Shingin Budo. And that theme is kind of metaphysical or spiritual in nature. Like, it really means, you create this empty space, this koku, or this void, and then you allow it to be filled with divine resonance. That's a very spiritual or metaphysical type of theme. So, how do you take an idea like that and translate it into martial arts or physical movement? That's been like the struggle all year for me as a teacher or for me as a student, is to kind of be able to connect to an idea like that and then translate it into actual classes, And I think you know, I don't feel bad that it's a struggle for me because I saw Sensei struggling with it too. Sensei can do the stuff, but teaching it, it's like a whole nother ballgame. How do you teach something like that? You know, it's like something that each person has to find their own path to get to that, you know, and it's going to mean something different to everybody. Some people, you know, don't believe in God, or they don't believe in a divine thing. So if you don't have those beliefs, then you have to find your own path that connects to that idea or that feeling. Because whether you believe in it or not, you know, Soke is presenting a feeling, and that is there for you to connect with however you like to connect to it, you know. And so then you have to figure out for yourself what works with your own belief system or your own understanding of the world, and find your own path to that feeling. And so I think that's why it's really hard to teach, like, you know, it's like a very personal thing.